Okay, I'm here with the Zorx Electronics ribbon controller. Um, but what's cool about this one, it's bananafied. So this has been out for at least a couple years. Um, Ellison Wolf, who makes this and who we'll be talking to later, he's local here in Seattle, and I first saw these at uh, a synth meet probably back in 2018, maybe 2017. Um, and yeah, now he's you know, done a great service by instead of only having it for kind of Eurorack format, making it bananafied. So just to run down its features, there's basically, so yeah, it's like a lucite, maybe about, we'll probably get the dimensions from him, about 2 feet long or so, about inch and a half wide ribbon controller, and it's lucite, and it has a light that kind of beams right through the thing, and you can set that up to turn on when you touch it, or you can always have it on or off. And yeah, so there's a ribbon output for that. There's also gate and pulse. Gate has the option of being on, and then when you press the ribbon controller, that will turn it off. So it's kind of like a reverse gate, I guess. And then it's got a pressure output, which has there's a little pressure pad on the kind of control section of the ribbon controller that will sense your pressure when you push down on it. There's also an auxiliary knob and banana output for that. So just a little mini kind of pot that you can turn left and right, and voltage will go out from that. And then a button, which is this kind of spring-loaded button, and it's kind of like a momentary switch. You can swap it, so it can always be on, and when you press it, the voltage will cut out, or it can be off, and when you press and hold it, the voltage will be on, and that's just kind of full 10 volts. So yeah, to kind of show what this thing can do, I'm going to patch it into the pitch in one of the oscillators on the music easel. So that's patched in now. So yeah, just dragging my finger along this controller changes the pitch. As you can, kind of hear, I could get some kind of vibrato sounds out of it if I wiggle my finger back and forth on it. And it also actually, there's a little mini trim pot that you can get with the screwdriver that will, you can reduce the output voltage from there, which I think is, I don't know, maybe mainly used for or kind of a holdover function from the Eurorack version. With Buchla, many things have CV attenuverters, so you can kind of attenuate on your way in, but you can reduce the voltage on the actual ribbon controller as well. So just I'll kind of patch up a couple other things to kind of show off some of the function. So as you heard, I had that pitch going. I have it going to 2 oscillators that I'm controlling at the same time. But with this, I wanted to make it so I could have it kind of be more expressive in like when I'm touching it, or I want to kind of control the amplitude of those oscillators. So I'm going to use the button for that. So basically when I'm pressing down the button, it's going to send voltage to the low pass gates to turn it on. But I'm going to first patch that button output into a slew limiter that's off screen if you're if you're watching the video, and so that's going to kind of give an attack and decay to the to this button. So when I turn it on, it's going to slowly rise up, and then when I let go, it's going to slowly fall. So I'll press that now. So there we are at full, and I'm going to let it go. So this way I can, kind of, I don't know, play it like a, or have an envelope, and for the low pass gate for that. I also have the auxiliary knob, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that to the 277 delay unit, and I'm going to bring that in too. And so I'm going to have actually this little knob here that's going to give me more delay time as I turn it up, and it'll then go back to a short delay time if I have that turned down. So I'll kind of bring that into the fold. So I'm pressing down the button, and that's in there. And if I turn it up, so I can have control over that now. And then I've got I still have the pressure output. So I'm going to put that and go into just the modulation index on the easel. So, if I have this on, if I apply pressure now, it's going to bring in that modulation. So maybe I'll play around with this, kind of put it all together. If you're able to hear it, this kind of takes two hands, so I'm gonna have to put down a microphone. I don't have one of those cool headset mics or anything like that, so I'll be back. So yeah, kind of a good little introduction. I mean, I imagine a lot of people would use this for pitch, but even with the pulse and gate outs, there's a lot of the stuff I can think about to um, control other aspects of my system, and also just have like a secondary um, control input. I use the 218 for so much stuff, but there's still always, I want some other thing that I can just, press real quick and send out a pulse and, trigger something out. So, yeah, it's a good little auxiliary controller for sure. Okay, I'm going to do another patch with the Zorx Banana controller. This time we're still going to be kind of using it for pitch, but set up quite a bit differently, with having it control the MARF and the MARF kind of acting as a kind of a quantizer. So a little bit about the patch. I have just the main ribbon controller going into the external section on the stage address section on the MARF. This is where you can use outside voltages to kind of sweep through the steps. And I have the kind of the pulse section button set to continuous, to where you would just sweep this knob and you would kind of go through the steps back and forth. But we're going to do that with the Zorx controller instead. What is also cool is it will fire off the pulses as if you had them programmed, or through the all pulses out. So I do have that going into a 281 envelope. And so, yeah, then to 292 and onto the mixer. So just to show you what that sounds like. So yeah, you can kind of sweep through this scale, I guess I set up. And I'm using a few other things in the Zorx to get a couple other functions out of it. So one, the button, when I press that in the 281 envelope that I'm using, I have the voltage from the button going into the attack and decay. And so when I press that down, it's just going to kind of keep that wide open. So I'll let you hear that. And then I also have the pressure. I'm using a 258 oscillator, the Dunnington Audio 258D, and I'm using the sine to saw oscillator on this one. So I have the pressure going into the wave shape, so that will also bring in the go from sine to saw. And then I also have this set up with the delay, just because it sounds so good. So let me turn that on. And I do have the auxiliary knob and CV. That's going to go to the delay length again. So I have it attenuating. So I have the main delay time set pretty high, but then I have the control input attenuverting that. So when I turn up the knob, it gets shorter. So yeah, when you put it all together. Another cool thing that I found when I was messing around with this patch is, when you take your finger off, the voltage is going to drop to zero when you're using the ribbon section. But I did find if you can kind of give it an offset. So if you position one finger, in the middle of the ribbon controller, and then you can use like another finger, using two hands. You can use a second one, so further to the right, to to change the pitch or whatever you're doing. But when you let go, if that left hand is still on there, it's just going to default back to where you have that. It won't go back to 0. It's going to go back to wherever that other position is. So you can kind of play this with two hands on the actual ribbon, which is kind of neat. So I'm just kind of, bopping around. And it's, throughout the whole length of this. But as you can hear, it kind of is going to go back to this bass note every time. But if I put my finger down halfway through and kind of bounce around with that, you'll hear it not kind of go to that bass note. So yeah, good times.